You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 107 of the College Loop Podcast. And this week starts our College Loop game week schedule. And Tarr, how you doing, buddy? I just realized you're on the wrong side. Hold on.
I know, this is weird. Flip us around. Thank you so much.
I just realized, oh my God, no, ain't happening.
Yeah, right. It just felt aesthetically incorrect. Boys, it is game week on the plains of Auburn, Alabama, and a whole lot of other places, but who gives a crap about the rest of them? Football is going to be back at Jordan-Hare Stadium in 6 days. It's going to be 5 days as the show's coming out. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm a little excited here, caught in the moment as we record this on Sunday evening. It's going to be hotter than Hades, just like it always is for kickoff. My roommate that goes to all the football games and has season tickets with me told me it's going to be 89 degrees at kick, and I said, that's bull. That's not how that's going to go down at all. It's going to be like 95. It's going to feel like 100, and you're going to be there with 88,000 of your closest friends, folks.
And family.
If that doesn't get you going, the College Loop Podcast is not for you, because it gets me going. Football's back in the best atmosphere in the whole damn country, and it is time for Total Meat Leather, and we're going to talk about the same things we've talked about for the past months and months and months for just a few more days. We've got a jam-packed week. Daniel, are you fired up? I'm fired up, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm fired up, and yeah, I get it. You Southern people love your heat. I'll take my nice air-conditioned press box any day of the week. That's more where I feel like I belong in the world. But so ready for football to be back. So ready for my first full season on the football beat. A lot of exciting things. It's an exciting time in the life of Daniel Locke. Very excited to be here. And, yeah, let's talk about some Auburn football.
Before we get into the main overarching question, all right? Everybody's favorite part of an Auburn football game day. Let's just lead off. This is a perfect way to start the week, right? Perfect way to start the week. Daniel, you want to go first?
Sure. I'll have the tailgating, man. It's not really – I didn't grow up a huge college sports fan, so it's not something I grew up with. NFL tailgating, like I've lived across the country for my NFL teams, so I just was never really able to tailgate for NFL games, and other sports not named football don't really do that. So my first time experiencing that was one I'll never forget. Still a big part of it. Obviously, a tradition that is uniquely Auburn, man, the Eagle flight. Like, can't beat it. And then the student in me loved the swag surf, man.
That's right, man. Those are all great answers. The Eagle flight, when we're talking about in Jordan-Hare Stadium, I've got two, Dylan. I'm going to do one in stadium, one outside of stadium.
All right. I'm still trying to think of mine. I got
in stadium is obviously the Eagle flight. That's a given. But the marching band, when the lead drum major does, I only coined it the runny thing. I'm telling you, man, there's something inside of me that just fires me up. It gets me going. You know what I'm talking about here. You've seen my impression. And an honorable mention right before the Eagle flight, Rick Smith's voice over the entire PA system. And now to continue a tradition that is uniquely Auburn. Oh, my God. I'm going. I'm in. I'm locked in. Outside of the stadium, everybody loves tailgating. Big cornhole enthusiast myself. Can't lie. Love me some cornhole. The pageantry of not just SEC football, but of Auburn football takes the freaking cake. And I've been to games at 12 of the 14 SEC schools. Nobody does it like Auburn. It is a full-on fashion show. And I'm not just talking about for the ladies. I'm talking about for the gentlemen too. Golf polo attire. You know what I mean? Everyone's got on their Saturday best, not your Sunday best, but your Saturday best. And you're all getting together to support your team. Man, there's nothing. I'm so excited. I'm ready for football.
All that reminds me is whenever I took Lauren to her first tailgate for Penn State, and she got mad at me because she was like, "You didn't tell me I have to dress nice for these things." I was like, "No, that's just a sorority girl."
No, it's not. You neglected to tell her that college football is damn near church. for the South. So,
Well, it was like I'm wearing a jersey, and she was like, "Well, I'll just put on one." She just put on one of my T-shirts and came to the game, and then she's like, "If you would have told me, I would have brought a dress." I was like, "That's not how I get ready for football games. I throw on a jersey, and if it's cold, I put on a hoodie. Then I put on a jersey. It's not something that I do pageantry wise." But you bring up everything about game day. The Eagle Flight's a great one. The kid in me wants to say Tiger Walk because I still remember one of my first memories of Tiger Walk was 2010 in November. Me and my dad took me to Auburn versus Chattanooga, and if you can't tell by the year, Cam Newton was in that game.
sure.
And I just remember Cam Newton running down Tiger Walk, and I was one of the lucky people whenever he was jumping around, smiling, high five. I was one of the lucky kids that got to high five Cam Newton. And for the next hour and a half, I convinced myself that I was never washing my hand again. I was just dead set. Cam Newton touched my hand. This hand is now like holy because Cam Newton just bestowed his hand upon my hand. But dude, nothing beats the walk after a win down campus straight to those beautiful Tumors Oaks, which now those two are going to be ready to roll come the UMass win. And Lauren gets to finish her conversion treatment from a Georgia fan to an Auburn fan by getting to
I have a confession to make.
tailgating.
I've never rolled Tumors.
What?
Dude, what?
Yeah,
but now Lauren gets to enjoy Tiger Walk, the tailgating, the Eagle Flight, swag surf, just game one. I wish it was a night game to see the LEDs because those are just awesome now. But she gets to hear Rick Smith over the intercom, and then she gets to walk down to roll Tumors for the first time. I'm already bringing extra rolls of toilet paper.
Okay, Daniel, you've got to roll Tumors at some point before you graduate. It is mandatory.
won't be happening this year.
Yeah, well, it came for basketball.
I feel like that wouldn't hit the same.
Well, my girlfriend, quick side plot story. My girlfriend's first roll of Tumors was spring of our freshman year. We did not know each other fall of our freshman year, and she never rolled for a football game, which I was like, what are you talking about? Abby's first Auburn win was when we won into the Final Four. That was a pretty damn good roll, folks. That was a pretty good roll.
I was gonna say, I think my top five rolls are the last roll always holds dear to my heart. Before the trees got taken down, I got to roll the trees before they got taken down after Auburn's A-Day, I think in 2013, 2012, I think 2013. And then number two, beating Kentucky after Pearlville. That's up there. 3, LSU for the first time since 1999. 4 would definitely be either the Final Four or winning the SEC championship, and then that's 4 and 5 right there.
So my biggest regret as an Auburn student so far is I didn't get to experience Pearlville. The game was Saturday the 22nd. My birthday is Friday the 21st. My parents were in town that weekend, so they bought tickets ahead of the game, way in advance. And then afterwards, I didn't think that, maybe we should go to Tumors Corner. They were hungry and wanted to eat, so we went and ate.
That was a good roll because we earned it. Best time I never want to have again. Let's talk Auburn football.
I smell it again. I can smell it.
Oh. My favorite article I've ever written, and actually one I was from a first place APA award recipient for this article, was my memoir reflecting on Pearlville. And Daniel, I'm not saying that it's the best thing you'll ever read. I'm pretty proud of it. If you go back and read it, you can smell Pearlville. I promise.
Side note, another little side plot. I actually had to dig through the Observer's storeroom of papers and find that. So
sorry about that.
No, it's all good. But I just want you to remember me at your acceptance speech for the award.
I certainly do appreciate that. I mean, you are the reason. You finding that is the reason I won an APA. So
Tarr, is it true that you actually install a scratch and sniff software into your article itself, and now if you scratch your screen, you can smell Pearlville? It's crazy.
I can smell it just in the memories. All right, gentlemen, Auburn football time. Back to football.
Only took 9 minutes.
It's all right. We're here. Game week on the Plains. What does Auburn need to see from Payton Thorne and his quarterback debut for the Auburn Tigers at Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday? How does he bolster his claim as the team's only starting quarterback? Daniel, I'm going to open this question up to you first.
I figured since I raised my hand politely.
I was kind of reading my little script I'd written, so flowed smoothly. So I didn't see you, but go on.
Well, you see, it's only the UMass Minutemen. So my answer would be different if Auburn was opening up the season with
A
the
P5.
Oregon Ducks in Dallas or the Washington Huskies in Atlanta. But, kind of, I'm just going to say 15 of 20 for 200 yards and three touchdowns should be plenty. That's kind of all I want to see from the ones this week.
I like that. I do.
I don't want this to be a time where the starting quarterback has to play 4 quarters and throw 30 plus passes. I don't want Thorne to throw more than 20.
Dylan, your thoughts?
I think you just got to see consistency. I don't think it's nothing more than just you see a guy who can go out on the field, call the plays, run them to not to perfection, but run them more often than not well. I want to say at least 80% completion percentage, just because you're playing a defense that's not very good. We saw that 2 days ago now against New Mexico State. Just a defense that's not very good, and if Hugh Freeze feels the need to, I mean, you can just pound the run and you can win this game by 40 without even throwing the ball. I think that's very much plausible, and you keep your quarterback healthy. But I would love to see. Notre Dame did a great job of this versus Navy, and I hate giving Notre Dame any credit, but I do love Sam Hartman and Marcus Freeman. But Sam Hartman, they did a great job of keeping it run heavy while also letting Sam Hartman eat against Navy. And I don't think Navy's good by any measures, but I think they're pretty comparable to UMass. So I think if Auburn wants to, and Hugh Freeze want to show off Peyton Thorne's ability, I think do exactly what Notre Dame did against Navy.
I like that answer too. I actually kind of have like a mental checklist of things I want to see from Peyton Thorne on Saturday. If he's going to be the guy, the QB1 for the duration of the 2023 campaign. First off, you're on a what's the word I'm looking for? Load management, similar to what LeBron James has kind of become known for. Load management. I don't want to see you play more than 2 quarters. And that means in order to get to that threshold, there are some things you have to do correctly. And if you're not doing these things correctly, you may see a mix in anyways. North of 60% completion rating. I'd like that to be north of 65. I'm not going to put a number of pass attempts on that. I'm not looking for a 75, 80% kind of crazy. I'm not ridiculous there. Is that feasible? Absolutely. This UMass defense is sus to be generous. I do also want to see a limited playbook. Like you said here, Dylan, but I want to see the limited playbook that's being ran to, I'm going to actually go further than you, Dylan, damn near perfection, because you should not have as many plays opened up because you don't want to put the film out. You do it's one of those things. You've seen it over the Malzahn tenure. You even saw it throughout the Harsin tenure, and you see it everywhere else. If you're going to be an FBS team picking on a lower level FBS opponent, you want to make sure that playbook is not expanded so you don't put film out. I also want to see no turnovers. Don't turn the football over. You throw an interception, you throw a fumble, you are automatically getting knocked down a letter grade from me. I'm going to tell you right now. You fumble the football or you turn the ball over in some kind of stupid boneheaded move. I'd rather you fail to convert on a 3rd and 2 and have punt football against UMass than try to play hero ball and get yourself in a 4th and 6 and take a sack, or fumble the football trying to make something happen with your legs. Play smart, fundamental football. I think that is number one way to make sure Auburn fans are on your side. It is unbelievable how much easier you can convince people, even if, and I'm not saying this is the case for Peyton Thorne, even if you don't play lights out, if you don't turn the football over, people can forgive you. And that is so important for Peyton, not just Peyton Thorne, but for that stable of running backs. None of those guys should fumble the football against UMass. Not a one of them.
No.
Right now, Deshaun Jackson. Does not matter. Not one of you guys should turn the football over against UMass. Shouldn't turn it over anyways, but you get what I'm saying. That's important to me. I want to see check downs, go through progressions, things we've not necessarily seen from Auburn quarterbacks. It feels like in forever, but really since Bo Nix, who, by the way, folks, did go through his reads and his progressions. I need to see on film when I go back and watch, probably on Monday since it's Labor Day, when I go back and watch on Sunday or Monday, and I watch just the offensive film, I need to see more often than not that you're not just going to your first read, and it's a simplified playbook. We're going to be able to know who your first read was. Can usually tell, anyways. Need to see checkdowns. The biggest thing that I want to see is Payton Thorne playing mistake-free football and managing the offense and what could be potentially a little kind of a glorified RPO. That's also a huge part, right? Making the right decision there most of the time. I'll agree with you on that one. And not throwing the football into situations where it has no business being thrown. That is just so important. I know that all that feels like basic. Harrison, you're talking surface level, like stuff we would coach middle school quarterbacks to do. You can dominate this game by just completing the fundamentals. You don't have to do anything special, no razzle dazzle, and don't need to pull any tricks out of the bag. Matter of fact, keep them buried in the bag. Lock the bag. Put it in a safe. Mistake-free football. Can you guys get behind that?
I think it should just be as simple as run, pass. I mean, just simple as just that. Or even run all the way down the field. I mean, this team is not very good.
Time of possession is going to be huge this week, guys. Auburn should hold the football the majority of the time, unless it's hand the ball off and score. I mean, you should be getting on, scoring, putting points on the board pretty much every possession. You can book it on a stupid 3-and-out possession that'll happen. It happens for every FBS team. I mean, hell, Georgia did it against Samford a couple times last year. You're like 3-and-out? Are you kidding me? You'll have to punt the ball a couple times, but scoring on the majority of your possessions should be the expectation this week. So that being said, anyone else want to expand on that topic before we move on to a couple games that had some Auburn implications this past week? No? All right. We'll speak to the general audience and we'll move forward.
You hit everything on the head, man.
Thanks,
you should
man.
be Christian Burnett should be getting carries. The walk-on from Mobile
Agreed.
should be getting carries in the fourth quarter. I mean, we're
Agreed.
even like talking about benching Sean Jackson. That's how much of a beatdown this should be.
I'm more of a Luke Rebels walk-on from Birmingham kind of guy, but you know.
Hey, I can get behind it. All right, week 0 games that had Auburn implications. Let's start with Vandy, and then we'll work over to the UMass New Mexico State game and kind of, or you know what? We'll start with UMass New Mexico State since UMass is first.
And New Mexico, I think we should go talk about UMass in this game, talk about Vanderbilt in their game, talk about New Mexico State, just to put it in the order of how we're going to play those teams.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're talking about UMass New Mexico State, then we'll talk about Vanderbilt. All right, UMass took down New Mexico State 41-30, and UMass finally won a season opener, guys. Let's give a little round of applause for UMass. Congratulations.
Their record from last year already.
They already have. Yep. First time they've had a winning record, and I don't know how long, but maybe. What'd you say?
4 years.
4 years.
No,
First time we
5.
got season openers, 84.
Holy cow. Okay. Congratulations to UMass. Very, very happy for them. This game was one of the games of all time. Let's see. How do we agree that we were going to pronounce the UMass quarterback's last name was pronounced?
Famachan?
Is that what we said?
Tyson Famachan.
Tyson Famachan, 10 of 17 for 192 yards, 1 touchdown, 96 yards on the ground, leading the team with a rushing touchdown. That being said, if you take away his rushing yards, UMass rushed for 101 yards as a team. That was kind of the theme of the game. Diego Pavia, now that was the bright spot for New Mexico State, 16-27, passing 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. What killed him? Kind of like what Jonathan Conley said when he came on our show and was previewing New Mexico State. Dude did move the ball and sling the rock. It was certainly the bright spot for New Mexico State. And the Aggies rushed for a combined 222 yards. Okay, guys, let's break things down here. Starting with UMass, like you mentioned, Dylan. What should Auburn take away from this win from the Minutemen? And how do you prepare to shut all that down? Daniel, you look like you were ready to talk, so I'm going to let you cook.
Yeah. So this is a team that is not nearly as bad as they have been in the past, and they're not nearly as bad as some stats might make them look. This is a defensive secondary forced 3 interceptions. I don't care what quarterback you're going against. That's not easy. Sure. So this is a defensive secondary that can make some noise. The defensive line also had 4 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. So that's something you got to watch out for. They can pressure the quarterback. So I feel like it's honestly kind of perfect for this to be the first team the O-line gets to play, because it's sort of like a little bit of a happy medium between a relentless pass rush like what you're going to see this year from Georgia and Alabama and all the schools you're going to play who are in the Southeastern Conference. Right. But it's also not a complete joke like an Akron would be.
Sure.
This is a pass rush that is skilled and they know what to do, but they're not so overwhelming to where your confidence is blown before you even get out of the gate. So I really like that. And kind of staying on the offensive side of the ball, like I previously mentioned, 3 interceptions. So it gives Payton Thorne a chance to go against a defensive secondary that can, like I said, cause some interruption and like make some plays, but one that won't be so overwhelming to where his confidence is blown before he even gets out of the gate. As far as the defense goes, this game should be a cakewalk for them. I didn't really see anything on the offense like that where I can point and be like, that's something that Auburn needs to watch out for. Like Pomachan's really not that intimidating. Just seems like a game manager quarterback, which, I mean, hey, sometimes those can be the scariest quarterbacks. Yeah. So some lessons to be learned here for sure for the Tigers.
And some film to watch. Some new film.
Sure. And I don't know. Spread for this week is 38. I don't think Auburn covers just because 38 is a lot of points to cover. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Dylan, your thoughts?
Just watching Tyson Famachan. I called him Tyson P on the last episode just because I wasn't going to attempt it. So Tyson, dual threat ability is what I saw from him. The ability to escape the pocket when he needed to. And I think New Mexico State that didn't have a single sack on him. That's what the kind of dual threat ability Tyson has. And it's kind of funny that he was the backup for Clemson and Georgia Tech, and now he's found his way to be the starter at UMass. And I think that he's finally found a groove, and as Daniel called him, a game manager. There were a lot of times where I could see him moving past that. And a defense like Auburn that we've heard kind of bad things about the run defense, and their inability to stop the run unless unless the box is loaded up. So that right there kind of, I don't want to say intimidates me, but makes me a little worried for this game, maybe in the second quarter. Like this game could definitely be an Auburn, be a Georgia Sanford from last year, or I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to a Jacksonville State Auburn 2015. I hate that I reminded myself of that game, but I think that if Auburn isn't careful, UMass can find their way into a close halftime score. But overall defense does not terrify me in the slightest. I think that Auburn's offense should be able to score nonstop throughout the first half. And then again, Holden Geriner should be getting fourth quarter snaps as well. So I think Auburn does end up covering this game. I
think Holden Geriner can wind up getting third quarter snaps. I'm not nearly as worried as you seem to be doing.
I'm not worried. I'm just saying it could be a close halftime score.
Apprehensive.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not apprehensive even a little bit. This is game 1 for Hugh Freeze. Let's not forget that. And he's going to try to hang a zillion points. That's just kind of a statement of fact. I'm with you, Dylan. Defense doesn't even really, I don't think that's the right word for UMass. Defense is such an interesting loose term there. I think Auburn's going to be able to run the football at will. And I think they'll be able to do that against a handful of opponents this year. So this is not going to be the first time you hear me say that. But it'll be interesting to see Peyton Thorne's abilities against that secondary that Daniel just talked about, with forcing 3 turnovers against New Mexico State. That means it's not out of this world impossible that they force Peyton Thorne to throw a pick. That's not out of this world impossible. It's going to be an interesting test for an unproven wide receiver group for these DBs that the UMass brings, excuse me. And on the defensive side of the ball, I am curious to see how the front seven operates when they don't have to stack the box and don't have to try to guess for the runs. So if it's an RPO layout or a play call, that they can kind of get burned in that regard. But I do think they'll be able to take care of business pretty easily. I think Holden Geriner could see the field by the third quarter of this game, and I certainly think we'll get plenty of Robbie Ashford drives. I think that's on the table. Yeah, Dylan's over here hailing to the king. That being said, you said the spread's 38.5, Daniel?
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge. That is a huge spread.
I think
a lot
Auburn
of points to cover.
I don't know that Auburn covers.
I think they run away with it.
I think it's close. I think Auburn winds up winning this one 35+. So we'll see how that one shakes out. But the film that UMass put out, happy for them, very happy for them, does not and should not concern Auburn fans.
I mean, this just seems like one of those like mess around and find out kind of things. Like I don't
think
want to get
UMass
into
isn't there yet.
I don't want to get into a pissing match with this team.
No, well, nobody does, and no FBS Power 5 opponent should ever want to get into a pissing match with any kind of G5, low tier G5. Every single one of these games, like a UMass, like in years past, you think about a Mercer, like a San Jose State, those are trap games. They're absolutely trap games. But I'm not worried about it. A lot of this rides on also Hugh Freeze getting ready to do what Hugh Freeze wants to do, and that is impose his will on the offensive side of the ball. If Auburn's defense lets up 21 points, we need to talk. We need to talk. And we need to figure out what the hell's going on there.
Go ahead and get a nice little factory reset going on.
Yeah,
UMass.
They need to turn it back. They need to unplug it and plug it back in, and try to reset their router, because otherwise I would be DCing from the game. But all things considered, not overwhelmingly concerned about that. Let's talk a little bit about Vanderbilt. UMass, New Mexico State is further down the road. I'm not worried about that one right this moment. We'll be able to preview them a little bit more. But I do want to talk about Vandy, because I'm a little bit pressing the panic button on behalf of Commodore fans. I'm a little apprehensive here. They only beat Hawaii by 7, 35-28. Their defense is sus at best. AJ Swan was underwhelming. And if you look at their rushing stats, I know sacks count against you, but the Commodores rushed for a combined 44 yards. Folks, this is bad. This is very bad. Hawaii, also very bad.
I don't know, man. That's a good team.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Rainbow Warriors. This is alarming on a number of levels.
I was in Vandy's defense.
Okay.
I will say it was 35-14, but then they just had a very bad fourth quarter. In their defense, I'm not saying they're better. I'm not saying they're a good team. I'm saying in their defense, the game,
and they still almost let Hawaii back in the ball game. The difference in that game is quite literally a kick return for a touchdown
and interception on the last drive of the game.
Sure.
You don't remember the 2006 Hawaii-Alabama game, do you?
No, because I was 6, which would mean you were 4.
I only cared about the Iron Bowl that year. I can go ahead and tell you.
Folks, let's break this one down. First off, AJ Swan. Let's talk.
Pretty good.
I think he's got a lot of talent. I don't think he was using it, Dylan.
Watching him play, I definitely a quarterback that I think is definitely underrated in the SEC. I can't lie. I love AJ Swan's game. I think he can be one of the better quarterbacks we've ever seen from Vanderbilt. I don't think he's Jay Cutler by any means, and that's weird saying that. But I definitely think AJ Swan can be looked at as one of the better quarterbacks in Vanderbilt's history. Now, saying that, I just think that I wish that ESPN counted drops or anything like that, or catchable passes. So I'd love to see that. But I do think that AJ Swan just had a tendency. This might just be an O-line thing. Because Hawaii got him sacked 3 times, and some of those don't really count as sacks whenever you tackle him behind the line of scrimmage. He's outside the pocket. But he had a tendency to overthrow the ball when, like a Jaden McGowan, who is blazing fast for a Vanderbilt player, go and put that out there. Jaden McGowan is already a player 11 weeks down the line, we should be a little worried about on any trickerations they might put with him around, because he's already faster than I think anybody. He might be the fastest guy in the SEC. Very possible. And just watching AJ1, he had plays. I mean, 19 of 30. He had plays where he made the right reads, definitely, and beautiful pass down the field. Just only where the wide receiver could get it, only where Jay McGowan could catch up to it. But if a guy did not have a 4.3 40 or lower, there was a lot of his passes where he just kind of skied it. Very, very often I see that, and I still think he's a sophomore. He's a true sophomore. He has plenty of time to develop throughout the season, and I think this is just Vanderbilt playing a week 0 game. I still think they could pick it up a little bit. We'll see next week. But I think Vanderbilt, the defense, really let them down this game.
The rush defense didn't.
The pass defense did. Whenever Hawaii quarterback throws 351 yards, and you got lucky getting 2 interceptions, the pass defense is bad.
Yeah, that's.
And Hawaii's never been a rushing team, anyways. They're partial to the air raid.
Honestly, I get it. I see the vision. Daniel, your thoughts?
Once again with this Vanderbilt team, it's just mess around and find out. Like, you don't want to go up to Nashville and not show up. Because there's enough here to make me think, like, okay, if Auburn doesn't show up until the middle of the third or the fourth quarter, I think they lose. Because this team will hang with you. And, people aren't going to like that very much. And that's fine. Like, I've kind of grown used to it. But still, people just get into such a mindset of you can just write down wins before you win them. And that's not true.
Sure.
So, I mean, people must forget the Georgia State game my freshman year. That was, that's the thing that happened. And
Texas
you know
State,
why that happened? Because Auburn messed around and found out and didn't show up until the fourth quarter. So
the Finley Savior game.
It's the SEC. That was the Conference USA or something. So you just can't mess around.
Fun belt. Come on, baby. Georgia State, the alma mater of one Lisa Tarr.
And it's also worth mentioning right now, if the season were to end right now, Vanderbilt wins the SEC.
Okay.
It's worth mentioning.
Yeah, you're right.
But what Daniel said was right. I mean, Florida messed around last year, and Vanderbilt definitely has, I think, in terms of
found out
most talented teams, Vanderbilt definitely is probably the 14th out of 14. Next year will be the 16th out of 16, unless, really good transfer portal acquisitions come in. I would say so. They'd be down there with probably right now Florida and Mississippi State.
You forget about Missouri?
Missouri has an opportunity.
Missouri's very good.
Missouri could become competitive this year. I think Missouri and Vanderbilt are both teams that could be very competitive this year. I don't believe in Missouri at all, but I'm being dead serious, dude. Missouri might scare a few teams.
No, dude, I'm serious. Missouri in the next couple of years will be the biggest coming of age story in college football because they have their recruit that you need to lean on. They have their Julio Jones-esque recruit coming in. So it's going to happen. I mean, you can be ready for it like Dylan and I are, Tarr, or you could not be and stay over there. It's your choice.
They should have had 2 more wins on that schedule last year. One of them being Auburn, the other one being Georgia. They should have had 2 more wins on that schedule.
Anytime Dylan and I have agreed on something on this show, it's always been right. It doesn't happen often.
I'm suspect on Eli Drinkovich, but that's neither here nor there.
He's a recruiter.
Let me bring it back to Vanderbilt. We're talking about Vanderbilt. My takeaway here is this Vanderbilt defense has got to get a whole lot better.
And they will. It's week 0.
That's fine. If that's the case, then you must also believe that the USC defense can get a whole lot better, and that's just not true.
It's week 0.
That game proved to me that USC is not going undefeated this year. Maybe not even getting more than 2 losses.
Moving forward. That defense has got to get a whole lot better. Like Daniel said, they will. They will develop a little. There will be progression. You would think. Clark Lee's certainly a developmental guy, but the core foundation of that defense is something that's going to be a key factor when we go into game week preparation for Auburn versus Vanderbilt and how close I think that ball game will be. because, like Daniel said, they'll hang around, they'll hang their video board from a construction crane, and they'll beat you, and then they'll storm the field in a single file line. All right, that's just how it works there.
Seen it before.
Yeah. And it's been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So there's your Auburn implication games from week 0. We'll keep you guys updated as we go week to week as to what that looks like. Just quick side note, Josh Aldridge ranked on THREE's top 30 assistant coaches in the country. So tip of the cap to him. And Dylan, tomorrow, just kind of prepping this for tomorrow's show, we will preview the Alabama game, which is our final installment of our preseason preparations right here and previews here on the College Loop.
Also, we'll protect the bowl games as well.
Yeah, that'll be something. All right. Other news around Auburn athletics before we get out of here. First and foremost, congratulations to Auburn Gymnastics alum Suni Lee finishing 3rd at the U.S. Championship. Auburn Soccer, they beat Army. I said Auburn beat Auburn. That was a line. That's a bar. I'm spitting facts over here. Tigers beat Army 3-2. Anna Haddock put the game on ice in the 61st minute, notching her second goal of the season, moving Auburn to 3-0-1 thus far. They'll take on Wake Forest on Thursday, August 31 at the Auburn Soccer Complex. Would love to have a soccer preview on Thursday, to go hand in hand, maybe on Wednesday, if that's something we can pencil in. Would love that. We'll see where we can go on that front. Daniel, you're much more acquainted with the Auburn soccer realm than myself.
Oh yes,
and Dylan combined.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
Yeah. Where are your thoughts about where this team's at so far through 4 games?
Honestly, I think you're right where you want to be. You start off the season with a draw against the Samford Bulldogs, and something you gotta stress in soccer, Samford is very, very good.
Sure.
This is a team that's won the SoCon, I believe, 9 years in a row. A very tough out in the NCAA tournament. They beat Auburn in the first round of it in 2021. So drawing with Samford is not nearly as bad as it would look on paper, just because that team is very good. The next game against Southern Miss, Auburn really had a breakout, scoring, I believe, 5 or 6 goals. No, excuse me, not Southern Miss. Troy. It was last year they had their offensive breakout game against Southern Miss.
Yep,
so that's where
5 on Troy this year.
Right. Right. Then you go up to New York, and you win both games up there against Syracuse, who is very good, and Army, who's not bad. That was a return game, the second half of a home and home. So I liked what I saw, particularly today, because this was the first time that Auburn had like a back and forth shootout, if you will, type game, and they came up clutch and they won. So it's good to see games like that, because last year the song of the Auburn season was losing games 1-0 or 2-1, or just drawing at 0. The offense was very, very non-existent at times last year. So I like how they responded today in a game where they needed to rely on the goals. Moving on to Thursday, Wake Forest is really good. Another return game, the second half of a home and home. Last year they played in Winston-Salem. This year they're playing in Auburn. If you're in the Auburn area and need something to do Thursday night, I would highly recommend checking this game out. It'll be a lot of fun. It's free, so might as well come on out. It'll get you in the mood for going to an Auburn athletic event. But like I said, this Wake Forest team's good, and I don't think 1 goal will cut it. You probably need 3, maybe even 4. So it'll be the biggest challenge of the year by far at this point.
I'll ask you this. There are 4 matches remaining before you hit SEC play. You've got Wake Forest, American, West Virginia, and Ohio State. 2 of those games at home, 2 of those games on the road, and those road games being Morgantown and Columbus. Where is Auburn now as opposed to where you want them to be, or Auburn fans should want them to be, as they approach SEC play, and how do they stack up with the rest of the conference?
Okay. So ideally, you'd like to be 7-1 or 8-1, whatever it is, or not having lost yet. But I don't think you make it through all those. Ohio State's very good. West Virginia's good. So I think you drop one of those on the road, but I think you get the other. Probably, if I had to guess, you lose in Columbus but win in Morgantown, which is fine.
Sure.
Auburn, they're predicted to finish around the middle of the pack this year, which is a step up from last year, mainly because of what they return. Matty Prohaska, a 4-year starter in the net. That's basically like having a 4-year starting quarterback. It's huge. Obviously, having Anna Haddock back is huge. Like, that's your whole offensive production for the past 2 seasons. So, like, that's big. The defense didn't really lose many people. And you have a lot of valuable depth pieces back. Carly Thatcher's moved into a starting role as a striker. She's been very good. So I feel like Auburn will definitely have a better year. They should. I feel pretty confident that Auburn will find themselves in Pensacola for the SEC tournament. I don't think they'll miss it again. I don't think they'll go 6-6-6 again, or I hope not at least. That's just not a comfortable record. And how they stack up against the rest of the conference, I think the ceiling, I don't think they'll win the SEC. Like I said, I don't think they'll be one of the teams that doesn't get to go to Pensacola, which the cut's 10. There are 3 teams that get to go, and there's someone in the SEC who doesn't have soccer. I forget who it is. But there's only 13 teams. So I feel like the ceiling's 3 and the floor is 8. So somewhere in the middle.
Very nice. I'm looking up.
I think Kentucky's that team.
I was about to say, I thought it was Kentucky.
I think they're a different conference, actually. I think they're a different conference for soccer.
Yeah, because they have men's soccer as well. I think they actually are in CUSA for soccer.
Interesting. It's always weird to me seeing those schools that have like different conferences for where they're at in terms of like different sports. It's so weird.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, like Notre Dame. It's hard to keep track of anything.
That's true.
Unless it's football.
Daniel, I appreciate that soccer breakdown. That was absolutely huge, actually.
You're absolutely welcome. I appreciate you wanting it.
Daniel Locke's soccer talks, if you will.
Tarr, I will ask you, Tarr, how'd that soccer segment got you feeling?
It's got me feeling loopy, man. I mean, it's also 12:10 Eastern time, and I start my new job in 8 hours.
Well, I got a conference I got to go to at 9, so we're in the same boat there. But, Tarr, you said you're feeling loopy. There's a great thing out in the world that you can get for yourself to kind of visualize how you feel. And that is the Feeling Loopy t-shirt available on the War Report shop. And you can go get these shirts. I talked about it yesterday. We talked to 10 doctors. All 10 agreed that these shirts actually bring you happiness. Everyone that I've seen wearing these shirts feels a whole lot better. And it's just the perfect shirt to wear on game days. 5 different colors. You got navy, heather black, you got solid black, you have gray, and heather gray as well. Or not. Go back. Heather navy, solid gray, or gray heather. Something. Go check for yourself. Go correct me on that. Go check for yourself. Go get your own. Only $25. They're comfortable. We love them. Again, 5 out of 5 stars from everybody that I've heard that has worn it in their life.
So as we're saying, next we're going to talk to 10 dentists and see if they agree as well.
Yeah. It's already better rated than Crest.
Daniel Locke, tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you.
You can find me on, one day I'll get that right first try. You can find me on X or Twitter or the Bird app or whatever you want to call it at Daniel J. Locke. Or, if you like to read, that's unfortunately a dying art in this country. You can find my written work for 1819 News. I'm their official Auburn beat writer. So some very cool stuff coming out this week. Or you can find my written work with Auburn Daily, which is Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation property covering the Auburn Tigers. Same thing with Braves Today for your Atlanta Braves coverage if you are a Braves fan, which a lot of Auburn fans are. A lot of cool stuff there for you. Best
team in baseball, Daniel. You're so right. I'm Harrison Tarr, @byHarrisonTarr on the Bird app, X app, whatever you want to call it. I'm also @byHarrisonTarr on Threads if you want to go hang out over there. If you've enjoyed today's content, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you did not enjoy today's content, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We'll do better next time. I think we did pretty well today, though. Welcome to Game Week, folks. You made it all the way through this grinding off season. For those of you guys who have been with us since episode 1, back on National Signing Day in December, it's been a hell of a journey. We're excited. We've got a jam-packed, and I mean star-studded lineup for Game Week. We've got folks from all around the Auburn sphere that are going to be hopping in at different points in time. You'll see Brooks Walton. He's coming back on the show tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. Yep, we've got our normal show with just us three on Monday. Tuesday's going to be Jacob Goins and Brooks Walton. Wednesday, Caleb Jones and Noah Griffith. Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time live. If you're not there, I don't know what you're doing. It's going to be Jacob Hillman, Up-Tempo of the War Report, Vince Wilfram, probably a couple more of our friends and family from around the Auburn sphere. And Friday will be our week 1 preview. I mean, folks, we are going to war this week. Get it? The War Report? Anyways. So a lot of fun. Make sure you, like I said, like, subscribe, ring the bell, but also drop your comments, questions you've got for game week. Things, drop your favorite tailgating activity. What are you wearing to the whiteout? You cop some new drip for the whiteout. We want to hear about it. Tweet at us. Let's see it. Let's see those game day fits, the game day drip, if you will. Loop enthusiasts, we've made it. Make sure you give your feedback. Make sure you ask your questions because we want to answer all of your questions. We want to talk about all your talking points. You guys are absolute dogs. And you guys give us the best content ideas in the world. You guys actually write the script for us half the time. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. We love every single one of you. Dylan, let's get the hell out of here.
Yep, and I'm Dylan Larck at YouBulletTank on Twitter/X. It redirects, so you can go wherever. Tarr, I got to ask you, do you actually use Threads, or is it just you just trying to – what are you trying to do?
I'm on Threads like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, what? Yeah, okay. But yeah, of course, you also have me on Instagram at Dylan Larck, a social media that people actually use, might I add. And if you want to follow us here on the College Loop, you have us here on YouTube, where you should like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like Tarr said, leave some content ideas for us, some questions, leave some other comments as well. Tell us where you're going to be at for UMass, because we're all going to be there. Daniel's going to be in the press box covering the game. Me and Tarr are going to be there as fans. But if you see us, stop by, talk to us. We love interacting with y'all. It's always been a fun time every time that's happened. And, of course, if you want to follow us on social media, you have us on Twitter/X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And, of course, again, right here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Cannot enhance that enough out there to y'all. And if you're tired of seeing our faces, I get it. Look at Tarr. I'd be tired of that too. And you should go check out our podcast versions as well right there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast. Stay tuned to tomorrow where you're going to see Brooks Walton's beautiful face. I don't know why. That may be the one podcast episode I'm going to say no to just because.
Whoa. Jacob Goins is on tomorrow too, man.
Jacob Goins. Oh, dude. Yeah, don't even
imagine disrespecting the voice of the Lee Scott Warriors.
That's right.
Hey, you just can't. Just don't even. I'm okay with no downloads on that episode because y'all just need to see those two.
Side note, Dylan, let's get 600 before the UMass game.
600 for the UMass game. We are, 75 away?
73.
73 away. We got 2 within this recording session. So that's very nice to hear about. But, of course, yeah, stay tuned throughout the entire week. We're going to be right here on the College Loop, bringing you every single day before UMass content so you can be ready for game day. But, again, we are here. This is the College Loop podcast. Where's the ending? There it is. College Loop podcast.